we are here with our second reading video of the week. We are continuing our story about Cal that we read yesterday, where Jake got his new best friend.
He was so excited.
Yeah.
What a cute story.
It really was.
I love it.
So, if you forgot what that story was about, you can go back and watch the reading video from yesterday and re-listen to the story. But we're going to kind of be talking about it anyways.
Yeah.
Because our page today is basically retelling the story.
It is.
Yeah.
We're going to look at the most important parts of the story, which are the character, that's who the story is about, the setting, which is where or when a story takes place, and the events, which one of my students mentioned this week is all the stuff that happens.
Yes.
Which they're really, they're correct. It's all of the different things or, happenings in the story that are taking place. And I also wanted to comment really quickly that I bet these students who are watching the video lesson are going to have a blank page in their packet
because they're following directions.
And
we're giving you the answers right now in the studio. Because we're so nice.
We are the nicest.
Yeah.
All right. Mrs. Grant, let's talk about characters.
Let's do it. All right. So, who are the characters in this story? There were not very many.
Like there weren't.
3.
But you just mentioned one.
I did.
You mentioned the dog, which is Cal.
Cal. And I'm going to put dog because I don't want you guys to get confused and think that the boy's name was Cal, because it's not. That was the dog's name. What was the boy's name?
The boy was Jake.
Jake, naturally. Yeah. And who was the other character?
Well, he didn't do all of the events in the story by himself. His dad had to help out.
His dad.
And I think that was it. A pretty short list of characters.
I think so too. So the setting where the story takes place, and we've talked about this before, it can happen in more than one place because the story can move different locations, and that happens here. We start off in one place and then the story moves to a different setting.
Yeah, absolutely. In fact, there's 2 different settings, and I think they even go back and forth a little bit. They're definitely at Jake's home for part of the story.
And then they go somewhere to pick out a dog.
Yeah, they do. They go to a shelter.
Yes. I'm going to say animal shelter.
Yeah.
Okay. How about you take that over since
All right.
it's closer to you this time?
So the events in the story, again, are all the things that happen in the story that tell us what's going on. And when I think of events, I really like to break it down into 3 main sections. So something that happens at the beginning, something that happens at the middle, which is usually a problem, and then something that happens at the end, which is usually the solution. So if I'm thinking about the beginning of the story, I remember that Jake, he's at home, like we mentioned, and he really wants a dog, and his dad has finally decided that it's time, that they can go pick out a dog.
Yeah.
So I'm going to start my events with Jake is allowed to get a dog.
Yes. Exciting times in Jake's life.
Yeah, I remember getting
Yeah.
a dog. It was a really big moment. It was really exciting. So he is finally allowed to get a dog, but they don't just sit at home and talk about it. That would be a really boring story. They end up going to a shelter and picking out a dog. So it's really Jake and his dad. I think I'll just write they. So I'm going to write they go to a shelter. And who do they pick out?
Cal!
And boy, is it okay if I go outside of these lines a little bit? The box is kind of small.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay.
They go to a shelter and pick out Cal.
Aw,
That's good.
so sweet.
I know that you mentioned that we should focus on 3 events, and right now we only have 2, the beginning and the middle. So we want you guys to think about what happened at the end and write one more event, a 3rd event. And you can go down into that second box, use wherever you need to on the paper to get it written down, but we can talk about it.
Oh, well, the ending of the story is my favorite.
It is.
Because not only do they get to take Cal home, but they start teaching him tricks and really just enjoying each other's company, which brings us back to that essential question we talked about, which is how a pet can be a special friend.
Yeah.
And I think by by the end of the story, Cal and Jake are special friends.
Yeah.
For sure. So I think you can finish up the rest of this page on your own.